to this Real America's Voice news break. I'm Terrence Bates. Tax season is officially over now that the April 15th deadline has come and gone, and that means the IRS is shifting into collection mode. This comes amid news that 22,000 agents have accepted a Trump buyout and will be leaving the agency. While fewer agents may mean getting your refund may take a bit longer, it likely will not mean the agency is less aggressive in getting money from you. Cameron Kinsey from Tax Network USA joins me now to discuss how TNUSA can help you no matter your tax situation. Cameron, always good to see you.
It's great to see you, Terrence. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. So now that tax season is pretty much over, the April 15th deadline is beyond us, what are some of the services that you're offering your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. We had our deadline yesterday. We've had an influx of calls yesterday, even some calls today, this morning as well, Terrence. And one thing that I really want to tell people is just not to panic. There's a wide variety of options available for you. We basically review your case and then tailor these options based on whatever you're dealing with during this tax season. There's offers in compromise. There's payment agreements like installment agreements, innocent spouse relief, different kinds of things for businesses versus individuals. So I would just recommend talking to our experts at TNUSA, and we'll get the right care for you underway.
What kinds of things do you typically see the IRS put in place this time of year now that filing season is over and as they're trying to get their money? I would imagine tax liens and all kinds of craziness.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I think especially with the government oversight that we've seen auditing these different agencies, Terrence, that we're going to see the IRS dig in a little bit harder just because the oversight is there. It's coming. And that usually means that they're going to double down on the enforcement just to justify their budget that they have right now. And that's really why it's critical to have experts on your side like TNUSA. You know, we have tax professionals, we have tax attorneys, CPAs, we even have former IRS agents who are really just in your corner. We review all the documents in your case. But I would say that, yeah, we're seeing that. We're also seeing people come in a little bit later, obviously, the day after this filing deadline. And those penalties will rack up. So we do just recommend if you do need specialized help, just to contact us immediately. That way those penalties don't keep stacking up.
You said that the IRS is ramping up its enforcement. The root word of enforce is force. And I would imagine that there are a number of people who are coming to you who feel like they are being forced. Their arm is being twisted and they just need help. They need somebody to advocate on their behalf.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I think that a lot of Americans, have been scared for the past 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration. We saw where the IRS, they were saying in that administration that they were going to target people in the upper class, the top 1%, and that wasn't the case at all. Actually, statistically, they were targeting small businesses. They were targeting every single day Americans, and that was actually scaring a lot of people. And now that we're seeing DOJ cracking down on a lot of these three-letter agencies, we're probably going to see the IRS double down its enforcement just to show efficiency, like I was noting before. But that just shouldn't be a reason for Americans to be scared, right? Especially knowing that you have experts in your corner. Like I've told you before, Terrence, we basically act as a liaison between the individual or the business, said business, and the IRS. So you're not having to contact them directly after we have all of your necessary paperwork. That's for us to build a solid defense on your behalf so you don't have to deal with them yourself. And we know how stressful tax season is. We don't want to keep racking up charges for you for our services. We want to tailor it to you, and we want to be as flexible as possible. So we do have flexible payment plans available for our services too.
All right, really quickly, for those people who are listening to this saying, okay, I want to try my hand at this, I understand that they can get a free at least start or a free consultation. How do they start that process?
Yes, it's actually a super seamless process. You can go to tnusa.com/RAB to get a special offer, or you can call 1-800-905-8000. You will receive a free consultation from one of our experts and our employees. They'll review your case, and if you want to move forward, that's great. We'll gather all the necessary documentation needed to build a solid defense, or if you don't, that's completely fine as well. It's just a free consultation.
All right, Cameron Kinsey, we appreciate your time. TNUSA.com/RAV, or the numbers there on your screen.
KOG and fighting for you for the foxhole freedom. It's time for another brand new hour. Glad to have you here. Warning, the Steve Gruber Show often results in a triggering effect, extending periods of American pride and American optimism and uncontrollable enthusiasm in this country's future. Kicking off the live broadcast and Real America's Voice, MTN, and reaching a growing global audience worldwide. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Thank you for being here. Three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, Elise Stefanik, who opted to remain in her congressional seat, is now nixing the opportunity of staying there. She wants to run for governor of New York. A big move. Number two, the Trump administration moving to strip the IRS of millions of rounds of ammunition and the guns that go with it. Yeah, it's true after years of building up stockpiles. And number three, rogue activist judges doing their level best to stop President Trump's plan to keep Americans safe from the fallout of the Biden administration's border invasion. Judge James Boasberg is at it again, informing the Justice Department that he believes he's found, quote, probable cause to hold President Trump in contempt over his use of deportation flights to send illegals out of this country and back where they came from. You heard me right. He thinks he can hold the president of these United States in contempt for doing his job and enforcing immigration laws. Boasberg's feathers have been ruffled, of course. He says President Trump showed willful disregard towards his emergency order on March 15th that commanded the United States to bring back planes of illegal aliens, gang members, that were sent to a prison in El Salvador. This despite the fact that the United States Supreme Court has already ruled that President Trump was not out of bounds in using the Alien Enemies Act to deport those violent criminals. The judge is demanding and continues to demand the government respond in a week, April 23rd, to provide some kind of defense. Yeah. White House Communications Director Stephen Chung says that the president plans to seek immediate appellate relief as Trump remains committed to keeping terrorists off our streets. The opposition is just throwing anything and everything up, hoping something sticks, hoping to bog down President Trump's agenda with legal filing after legal filing. Democrat Jamie Raskin couldn't lather on the praise any thicker after hearing about this latest development, of course. Listen to this.
Look, Judge Boasberg, who was a President Bush appointee when he originally went on the bench, and he was Justice Kavanaugh's roommate at Yale, will go down in history as a great judicial hero for what he's doing here, because he is trying to put up a huge stop sign against the lawlessness. He said, I issued an injunction for you to not let those planes go, or if they were in the air, to turn them around. They hadn't left yet, but you willfully, deliberately defied a court order. You can't do that. Even the President of the United States can't do that.
Yeah. I don't remember, maybe you do, but I don't remember Raskin making a fuss or kicking and screaming. When Joe Biden bragged about working around the Supreme Court to burden the American public with the cost of student loan forgiveness, which the court was very clear about, you can't do that, and Biden says, well, going to do it anyway. Remember that? Joe Biden tweeted, the Supreme Court tried to block me, but they didn't stop me. Democrats applauded his bravery. This time, Trump is kicking out actual violent terrorists from known gangs. Terrorists, kicking them out of the country, who should never have been here in the first place because they're here illegally. And Democrats applaud the judge who's making that difficult, even demanding that these gangbangers be returned to the United States. Another roadblock coming out of the district courts. Judge Indira Tilwani is halting the Trump administration from ending deportation protections for more than 530,000, in fact, Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, Venezuelans. These 530,000 immigrants were admitted to the United States by way of the Biden-era humanitarian parole program, a program created out of thin air using executive parole privilege. You see, the executive does have a lot of control over who comes and who cannot come to the country. So it's okay for Joe Biden to use executive parole privilege, later halted due to the evidence of extensive fraud in the program. But now, this Boston judge, another federal district judge, says President Donald Trump can't undo the executive decision by Joe Biden and can't undo the damage. Talwani wants a case-by-case review for every single person who used the program, case by case, for 530,000 illegal aliens. Where was this kind of concern for diligence when these people were just rubber stamped on the way in? No background information, no vetting. Because don't forget, a lot of these countries don't share it with us. They don't give us any information. This is what's become crystal clear. Democrats, along with these rogue judges, care more about virtue signaling in favor of illegal aliens and even criminals, outright violent criminals, than they do for the constituents who pay their salary and live in their districts. Here's Maryland's shameless Senator Chris Van Hollen, using taxpayer dollars to fly to El Salvador to visit an illegal alien, or try, that was deported there. The one that has been in the media so much this week, and they're fixated on. Listen.
And I said, I'm not asking him to smuggle Mr. Abrego Garcia into the United States. I'm simply asking him to open the door of CCOT and let this innocent man walk out. They should just let him go. And they should let him go, and we will find a way to get him from San Salvador to Maryland, the state of Maryland. I won't stop trying, and I can assure the president, the vice president, that I may be the first United States senator to visit El Salvador on this issue, but there will be more, and there will be more members of Congress coming.
Yeah, okay, good luck. This is the hill they want to die on? Let them do it. It's what the Democrat Party prides itself on, that they're itching to ensure the welfare of individuals who are not even American citizens at the expense of American citizens. Yeah. Citizens like Patty Marin lost her daughter Rachel at the hands of an illegal alien who was allowed into this country from where? El Salvador. She lives where? Maryland. Paying the salary of Senator Van Hollen. Here's how she's responding. Listen.
To have a senator from Maryland who didn't even acknowledge or barely acknowledged my daughter and the brutal death that she endured, leaving her 5 children without a mother and now a grandbaby without a grandmother, so that he can use my taxpayer money to fly to El Salvador to bring back someone that's not even an American citizen. Why does that person have more right than I do, or my daughter, or my grandchildren? I don't understand this.
I don't understand it either, ma'am. Most of us do not. But the Democrats more interested in what Abrego Garcia, Senor Garcia, has to say, even though we just discovered that Abrego Garcia's wife filed a restraining order against him in 2021 over domestic violence claims, extensive domestic violence claims. Yeah, and we're going to get to that and dig deeper. Because the Democrats really are going to die on this hill. They're going to die for illegal aliens. They're going to die for gangbangers. They're going to die for wife beaters over the people that live in this country. They value these illegal aliens more than they value you. We'll continue talking about it straight ahead on the Steve Gruber Show. right, so the Democrats truly will die on this hill. They're going to go to bat for the illegal aliens, for the people that beat their wives and these criminals. 530,000 that were flown into the country unvetted just so they could skip over the line and give a false impression that the number of people coming across the southern border had lessened. It never did. Well, it did as soon as Donald Trump became president. Representatives Garcia and Frost are requesting that the House Oversight Committee give them permission to travel to El Salvador to do another photo op like Van Hollen just did. Here's the Democrat strategist's reaction to the visit. Listen.
Well, I think it's a good step. I would have loved to see an entire congressional delegation go with him.
That may be starting, right?
And hopefully that happens, because I think, owing to the reporting and to the judge's comments, the one clear and consistent fact that we have to keep in mind, that an individual is in prison and he was entitled to due process and didn't receive it. Period. Full stop. Right?
Regardless of immigration status.
Correct. He was entitled to due process. He did not get it, and now he is in prison. How many times have we heard that in communities across the country? Even if you are a citizen, we always think that that is wrong. And so for the senator to go down there, call attention to it, and I hope that others follow, it is incredibly important that he do that.
I think he's right. I wish an entire Democrat delegation would go to El Salvador. I think they should do it every couple of days. I think it's compelling television to see Democrats standing there demanding the rights of MS-13 gang members. I think it's exactly what the country needs to see. Who do the Democrats support? Is it working class people? Is it the middle class? Is it you getting up to go to work today? Or is it some guy with tattoos all over his body and face that they think should be living in Maryland next to some hardworking, tax-paying Americans? Yeah, the party has completely lost its way. Rachel Marin deserved the right to live, but hers was snuffed out. Hers and many others. And many more to come. If these gangbangers aren't deported fast enough, people will die. Listen to ICE Director Tom Homan. Here he is.
And I'm just disgusted that any congressional representative is going to run to El Salvador his aid. When yesterday I read in his state, an illegal alien charged with murder was released back into the community, and not the ICE detainer wasn't honored, and ICE had to go find him in his state. In his state.
In his state. That's right. Tom Homan is right. Tom Homan is right to point out the twisted priorities of politicians like Van Hollen. Another thing I'd like to point out, Senor Abrego Garcia was shielded from deportation to El Salvador in 2019 because he feared violence from a gang, a rival gang. That's why he was protected and not sent back. Barrio 18, why? Because it's a rival gang. He's a member of MS-13. Scott Jennings on CNN pointed this out. Pretty funny. Listen.
He was effectively disappeared to a foreign country, a country which he came from, which he was basically got asylum.
It's not a foreign country. He lives there.
Excuse me, no, he does not live there.
He's a citizen of El Salvador.
Scott, excuse me, he got asylum in this country.
He's a citizen. Does he have asylum?
Excuse me, let me finish.
No, he doesn't.
No, it's not that he,
okay.
Sorry. It's not that he got asylum. He got a judge to say that he could not be rendered back.
Does he have a deportation order?
Excuse me, he could not be, can you let me finish? He could not be rendered back to El Salvador because he was at risk of being harmed in El Salvador. That is what a federal judge said.
By who? Who was he at risk of?
Excuse me, that was what a federal judge said. He could not be deported. Could he be at risk by? I don't know.
A rival gang.
No. Excuse me, Scott.
Yeah, rival gang. Democrats hate the facts. So let's end this with some more facts, shall we? Some good news, actually. Some good news. Although there's more criminals to root out, the fact of the matter is that every American citizen, whether or not they voted for Donald Trump, is safer today than they were under Joe Biden, for one of many reasons. Border Patrol being allowed to do its job again is pretty remarkable. Here's the Border Patrol chief. Listen.
And look, I can tell you right now, the Border Patrol morale is going through the roof. We've had the handcuffs taken off. We're allowed to actually do our job, which is go out and enforce the law. Under this administration, they have literally taken the handcuffs off and allowed us to enforce law instead of policies that were created to contradict the law. And so our morale has continued to rise. I'm actually out in the field today. I was over in Rio Grande yesterday. Outstanding morale in El Paso today, visiting with the troops out here and the agents, and the morale is just through the roof.
And how's recruiting?
Recruiting's looking great. We're seeing some of our highest numbers ever. Really excited about that because, as you know, during the previous 4 years under the Biden administration, we saw a mass exodus from the Border Patrol, and we saw some of our lowest recruiting numbers. We're seeing the opposite. We're seeing agents pull retirement paperwork in order to continue staying in and serve, and we're seeing our recruiting numbers go through the roof.
Yeah, recruiting numbers are great there. Recruiting numbers are great in the military. Recruiting numbers are the best they've been in years and years across law enforcement and in the military. So while the mainstream media and Democrat politicians continue to moan and groan and complain about illegal aliens being returned to their own countries, rest in this. The Trump administration is pushing full steam ahead, making America safe again. If you're not an illegal alien, you can get a good night's sleep. You can rest easily because you know that the American government is there working for you finally and not for somebody else. Isn't that remarkable? And again, for me, what's really remarkable, Democrats want to die on this hill to protect the illegals and gangbangers over you and me. Good luck with that. Some coffee is weak, some coffee is corporate nonsense, and then there is 1775 coffee. It's what we wake up every day with here on the Steve Gruber Show and the entire team. Bold, high quality, built for those who refuse to compromise, like you and me. Hand-picked, high-altitude, single-origin beans, roasted to perfection. No toxins, no shortcuts. What is it? It's just damn good coffee. You want your cup? Well, head to 1775coffee.com/Gruber. Use the promo code Gruber. You'll save 10%. And for every dollar you spend, you'll have an entry to win a Cybertruck and $30,000 in cash. Bold flavor, exceptional quality, no BS. 1775coffee.com/Gruber. Hey, I wouldn't tell you to drink coffee that wasn't the best. Trust me, I live on this stuff. We'll be right back. I've said for a while, maybe going to the gym is not such a great idea. Maybe, maybe you're not going to feel so great. Maybe it's not healthy. Did you ever think of that? Maybe going to the gym isn't healthy. Well, okay, maybe that's not exactly true. But this story frightens me. I saw this story yesterday. I had to say to Ivy, I said, what is this? So a gym employee dies and a client is in critical condition. This after a cryotherapy session went horribly wrong. And basically, that's an ice bath, right? It's a high-end fancy ice bath. But a woman died. It is a gym in Paris. Not here, but in Paris. Because it malfunctioned. And nitrogen, which was making the ice bath leaked. And nitrogen, you don't even know what happens. You just basically... you collapse because nitrogen replaces the oxygen. No oxygen to you. You apparently dies. So there was a leak. The client reportedly taking part in cryotherapy session with nitrogen gas leaked from a cold chamber. 3 other people who tried to revive the woman were rushed to the hospital. 150 evacuated from the building. I mean, when this nitrogen, colorless, odorless, commonly used during cryotherapy. Exposure to sub-freezing temperatures causes the body to limit blood flow and release hormones, including adrenaline and endorphins. I mean, the ice bath part of it's good. The nitrogen part of it, deadly. Deadly. Emergency medical kits. Everyone knows the next medical crisis is around the corner. Are you prepared? Whether it comes in the form of a pandemic or something much more mundane like a tick bite, you and your family, be prepared. It's where the Wellness Company comes in. I do a lot of work with the Wellness Company, as you know. They have great doctors. Dr. Peter McCullough was just on. Dr. Thorpe was just here. The Wellness Company and its doctors are medical professionals. You can trust them. And their line of prescription medical kits are the gold standard when it comes to keeping you safe and healthy and prepared. Whether it's the medical emergency kit, the contagion kit, the first aid kit, or the travel kit, these kits contain an assortment of life-saving medications and guidebooks to assist you in the proper use of these medications. Anthrax, tick bites, a trip down the street, a trip around the world. They're here to help you to make sure you and your family are safe. Rest assured you have antibiotics, antivirals, antiparasitics, anything you need. It's right there. You want to find out more? Please do. twc.health/Gruber. twc.health/Gruber. You can order today. Use that promo code Gruber. You'll save 10% on your order. I'll be right back. I had a friend of mine. In fact, he's having a seminar tonight. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Terry Sawchuk told me, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. He said, Gruber, the world's going to change more in the next 10 years than it's changed the next 10,000, the last 10,000, that is. And I'm like, that seemed like a bold statement 2 or 3 years ago. But you know what? I think he's right. I think he's exactly right. And it has changed. Some for the better, some maybe not so much. My next guest, Mark Beckman, wrote Some Future Day, How AI is Going to Change Everything. He's also the CEO of the award-winning advertising agency, DMA United. We've got a lot to talk about. Mark, good morning. Thank you for being here.
Steve, it's great to see you. Thank you for having me.
So let me ask you, was my friend right when he told me a couple of years ago the world will change more in the next 10 years than it has in 10,000? I think, at the time I'm thinking that was kind of a bold statement. Today I look at it and go, you know what? I think he was right. What do you say?
Steve, it's a great place to start this conversation. I believe that your friend is dead on. He's spot on, correct? In fact, I believe because of the current administration, President Trump's administration, artificial intelligence will represent the single largest growth sector percentage-wise in the nation over the next 4 to 5 years. And moreover, our society will radically change for the better because of artificial intelligence, probably within 3 to 5 years, Steve.
Dramatic leaps forward is what it does. And AI, look, it has great applications. It has dark sides. I mean, unmanned weapons of war concern me. I wouldn't be telling you the truth, Mark, if I didn't say so. I think those sorts of things concern me. Robots and drones that have no conscience, just algorithms and directions. Those are frightening pieces of equipment, are they not?
It's a fair concern. And, you mentioned my book. This is actually my favorite chapter in my new book, Some Future Day, How AI is Going to Change Everything. And what I do, Steve, is I analyze what a post-nuclear warfare, what a post-nuclear war machine looks like. And the reason it's scary to me isn't because artificial intelligence will fuel more agile weaponry like drones, but it's about who will get their hands on it. So it fundamentally changes the equation of war from countries like America with big budgets to develop huge machinery, accessing the most powerful weapons, to smaller, poorer nations, let's say, for example, like Yemen, accessing these more agile drones that are powered by AI and can attack from all over the world. And here's what's interesting, Steve, just a point of concern. There's a company now named Extend Drones, which actually does business already with the United States government, with the Department of Defense. And they've created a system, Steve, that an individual can, with no military training, control swarms of drones from a very far distance to attack. So here from New York City, I could control, as if it's a video game, drone swarms to attack anywhere in the world, Europe, Asia, Africa, and beyond.
Right. So, and that's exactly what I'm talking about here, Mark. I looked at all these, remarkable displays of drones doing, I'll call it artwork, where they're doing